veteran leadership is in Xiao 8. You know, he won a TI last year, and so he's back in a position again where it looks like he's a contender for it once again. And the thing that's interesting to me too is that I think I was talking to Brax when he used to play for, you remember the LGD NA team that they had going?
Yeah, LGD International.
Yes, and he said that in some ways they overtrain, you know, they just grind game after game after game, but in some ways that can kind of kill creativity, but at the same time, I feel like that type of style is bred for these types of tournaments, like long group stages where you have to go 60-minute game after 60-minute game.
Right.
Whereas I feel like a normal team would just kind of be like beat. I feel like LGD is well prepared for this, but we should talk about complexity. They were the team that got through the NA qualifiers. They just 2-0'd MVP Phoenix, a team that looked very good from all accounts yesterday, and I think this is the real test for them.
And from my conversations with Swindlemans, he seemed to feel pretty confident about them facing up against LGD. Maybe not necessarily their chance against facing LGD, but he generally felt like LGD was not as strong as a team as other people were putting them out to be. And I actually kind of agreed, but I don't know, just seeing some of their group stage performance may change my mind so far, but we'll see what happens in this first game here. The draft's already coming out. We have a Tusk and Queen of Pain picked up by Complexity. Gyrocopter and Dazzle goes the way of LGD Gaming. Is Dazzle the new highest tier support?
I think Dazzle's really good. Pretty much every team can learn how to run him. In the first days, we actually saw Disruptor picked a lot, but it just seems like Dazzle's... It's just a good hero overall. Like, there was a time period last year where it wasn't as good because people were just picking Axe so often. But now that Axe isn't really a relevant hero, the Shallow Grave is so strong, there's very little that you can do to fight through it. I think it was in the Archon versus MVP game where we especially saw how good Grave could be. Like, you can keep somebody alive, a TA, she puts out even like 6 or 7 more hits that can completely turn a fight. Weave has the dual function of being offense and defense, and you can check things with it. Like, if you think a team is sneaking Roshan, you can just blind cast it in there.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of different options for it. The Poison Touch isn't great by all means, but like the heal itself is pretty fantastic. And I think also I wanted to point out that Gyro hasn't lost a game. I'm not sure how that works.
In the group stage?
Yeah, I think so far he's like 3-0 or something like that.
Yeah, because he's definitely lost in the wild card, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Gyrocopter's still very strong here, despite the fact that we've had multiple metas where Gyrocopter was a very popular hero, and he's been popular while in this current meta. I kind of actually presumed that he was gonna drop off at this TI simply because once you've had sort of an established hero for so long, I feel like the teams are just like so naturally used to being able to deal with him that they will be able to always like remember the correct playstyle and draft to be able to deal with the Gyrocopter. But he still obviously remains quite successful in this group stage so far anyway. Our second set of bans here, Techies and Bloodseeker banned away by LGD. Viper and Dragonite taken away by Complexity. Maybe heroes through and through with the Viper and especially the DK, I would say. I like LGD's banned away. I would say those are kind of like cheesy heroes in a way, the Techies and Bloodseeker.
Yeah, it's the Tusk Techies combination that's so strong.
Yep.
Bloodseeker's just a good hero overall, and I think actually the Naga ban is targeted at Ziz, just because it's a really strong hero that he plays. Like, I know him to be a Radiance player in general, like heroes that use Radiance. Leshrac is an obvious ban, and I think also the way that LGD is picked so far, it's to work around the fact that he likes to play a lot of Phantom Lancer. Like, if I had to say that there was a carry that he... that I've seen him play often, it's the Phantom Lancer, and so I think that picking the Gyrocopter, the Dazzle, and the Earthshaker, they all have different functions to deal with that hero.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they have countered that out pretty well, sort of preemptively, so Complexity want to go for that pickup. LGD's like, go for it by all means. Complexity's spending a lot of extra time now on their third pick. We have both their, presumably, we'll say for now, they're offlaner and mid. Of course, Tusk can play the support position, but a little bit more rare. Winter Wyvern is grabbed for Complexity. Very strong hero, though there is a good amount of mixed damage here. Definitely a lot of magic damage, even from the cores now of Gyrocopter and Lina. So the Cold Embrace is not going to be that strong, but then again, Winter's Curse is always a consistent, big team fight changing ultimate.
Yeah, and I think the Lina response is, or the Lina pick is in response to both the Queen of Pain and the Winter, just because you want a hero that can do sustained magic damage, and that is Lina in a nutshell. And at the same time, she's almost always going to get her ultimate off because there's a good interaction between Dazzle and pretty much any hero that has a one big spell, right? Because you guarantee almost that that person gets it off, or you overcommit to continue to stun the person that's Graves, which isn't an ideal situation either. And so I think there's a nice interaction there. And Complexity, they still have 2 picks to go. I'm pretty sure that's a Swindle Queen of Pain. I know it's one of the heroes that he says he's really comfortable with, and in response, Complexity is going to pick up the Clinks, and I think this is a good pick because if you look at it, LGD don't have the best mobility to deal with him. We saw last game in the Secret Fnatic game, they had so much mobility to deal with Clinks.
Yeah.
But I think this game will be different.
They have a bit of lockdown though that I'm a little bit scared about as a Clinks player. Like both the Earthshaker and Lina are quite threatening because of their burst damage. But you're right, they don't have that much mobility. It's just lockdown and nukes from the side of LGD that's going to be more of the threat to both the Clinks and the Queen of Pain. But I do really like the Clinks pickup specifically against the Gyrocopter, because I feel like you need that kind of, especially with Gyro frequently building an early BKB and very reliant on his magic damage and getting up in the face of the enemy. With Rocket Barrage, I feel like he's a hero that's very susceptible to early physical damage, you know, and not many heroes, not many carries are going to be able to get you really strong physical damage by 25 minutes. But Clink certainly does that, primarily thanks to Searing Arrows, but also because of his strafe. So,
reserve time.
Little ups and downs for that pickup. LGD not going to go for the Enigma ban, making sure they don't have the opportunity to have a jungler advantage over LGD. And that would be a great sort of team fight hero in a way. Like LGD are looking at amazing amount of team fight with their first 4 that could easily be upset by just one really good Winter's Curse and Black Hole. And it's actually LGD who go for the PL.
Okay, this is really interesting because we were talking about how Complexity like to pick up the hero, and there were a lot of counters on the side of LGD, but it's actually LGD that opt to pick up the Phantom Lancer. And this is a pretty interesting pick because if you look at Complexity's lineup, they don't have the best way to deal with the hero. You're going to think of a hero like Queen of Pain and erroneously believe that it's a straight up counter, right? It's like Queen of Pain has a ton of, you know, magic burst that hits in an area, but at a certain point, like, yes, that's true. But after that, like once the Phantom Lancer picks up like 3 items, that isn't true whatsoever. Like, you actually can't do anything as like a Storm or a Queen of Pain or an SF at some point, where SF or with the Phantom Lancer just completely swarms you. I think we even saw that in, remember London Conspiracy versus EG? Like once the PL can outplay you using his Doppelwalk, like there's just too many options. And so Complexity, I mean, I think they were blindsided by that pick, and you have to counter it. Like, there's no way you can just allow this to happen where you let that Phantom Lancer have no opposition. And I actually think this is going to mean that LGD has to do dual lanes, maybe. Oh no, they can actually just put the Gyrocopter mid.
Yeah, they can definitely do that because Gyrocopter can beat the Queen of Pain with missile spamming, but I was actually thinking Complexity would run Queen of Pain offlane and give the 1 and 2 position to Clinks and Ember Spirit respectively.
They have to at this point.
Yeah.
I think this was a really interesting draft because LGD, I'm almost certain that was meant to originally be a carry Gyro, but then they saw that there was no counter to Phantom Lancer, and he's such a top tier pick. If there's like no Leshrac, no Earthshaker or Ember Spirit, then you're pretty much really in that role. But now that things have happened as they have, like things are.
And not
really
only just
weird.
like within its own lineup, right? And the fact like, okay, he's not going to be countered, etc., etc. He's also very good versus the Clinks, right? Because he gives you the mobility that you were talking about.
Yes.
Like you have a whole bunch of lockdown, but not much mobility on the side of LGD. Now you've got a very mobile carry.
Yeah, for sure. And so I really like this. That they're just kind of. It's interesting because it feels like both teams, instead of having like a set strategy, they're both just adapting to what each other's doing. And I think that part is really interesting, but it looks like there is going to be a head-on collision for both teams. Actually, Complexity are Sending some heroes to the top rune area, I think, but
yeah, little awkward here. Complexity running 3 into the enemy jungle, but not fully committing. Both Fly as well as Ziz are going to be backing themselves up to middle and top. So just enough to make sure that Z-Freak maybe gets in that ward, which sure enough, it is going to be blocking out the camp. They are seeming to be running an offlane. Queen of Pain, Swindle Melons is going to be playing the Ember Spirit, already being fed a little bit of extra regen and went for the poor man's shield to start with. Probably the only way he can actually deal with this middle lane matchup, right? Because Rocket Barrage is such an overwhelming amount of magic damage that it's going to be early on that Flame Guard is just not going to protect him.
Yeah, it doesn't do enough to help you out in the early game. Like, that's kind of the weakness of Ember, is that A, he doesn't have the best base damage, he doesn't have the best armor either. He's got like 1 armor, and if you think about it, all of his spells at level 1 are actually quite poor. So there's almost no response from you in the first 2 levels, right? Like, you walk up, you tank a bunch of hits, and then you just hope for the best, more or less. Like, you can't really trade hits with the gyrocopter. So you need at least level 3 or 4 for the hero to really get strong. And so what Fly is doing right here is that he's just trying to harass him out to give Swindle the best possible start that he can, so that once he picks up that crucial level 3 where he's got 2 levels of either the Sleight of Chains or the Flame Guard, when those spells are actually good, he can finally contest.
This dual lane is trying to get aggressive, but Z-Freak is going to be in a spot of trouble here. He's going to take a lot of damage in the process. Now the Dragon Slave goes out, and he will be forced to blow his potion. But this is an interesting dual lane to be sure. Tusk and Queen of Pain have a lot of offensive capabilities, and the Tusk combination with Ice Shards and then the slow of the Shadow Strike means that they can actually get a lot of right clicks in, which is an aspect of Queen of Pain that, you know, many people don't talk about because she's so, you know, like, oh, she's a magic damage burst oriented hero, but she also does a lot of right click damage simply because that's just the nature of her hero. She's always be able to get into position and constantly pursue and harass and get right click after right click.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, LGD, their lanes are a little bit odd because it almost seems like in this lane, Xiao8, who typically plays as a support, is actually playing the core because it's just easier for him to farm against a Queen of Pain and a Tusk. Like, if the Earthshaker gets out of position, he just dies. Like right now, he's in a really awkward position where Moon actually has a snowball, but they don't have to go for him. That's the thing. He's got the Orb of Venom as well, and this might actually mean they decide to go for it, but they actually back off because they see Yao with the animation in the air, and you just have to run at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best choice, right? Like, if you could just continue to harass them and force them out of lane, there's no reason to take the risk and go all in for that first blood, because you could very easily get turned around on. If you go too far with the snowball, you end up underneath the tower, then there's the double Fissure stun and double Light Strike array. It's just not worth the risk, right? So you're already winning the lane. Wait for the guaranteed kill where there is no risk, and if there is no guaranteed kill, it's probably because LGD are sitting too far back and they're just missing out on a lot of CS.
Yeah, completely. And actually, they're going to go on Xiao8 right now, and they might actually pick up this first blood, even with the stun by Yao. I don't think this is going to be enough, and this will be first blood for Moon Meanders. This Queen of Pain support is actually working out really well right now for Twin.
Yeah, it certainly is. Swindlemelon's trying to get aggressive on, maybe with the help of Fly. That Rocket Barrage damage is actually enough to force Swindlemelon's back, so they will both limp themselves away, dropping quite a lot of HP. Of course, Ember Spirit does still have another health potion that is going to be fed to him. And does he have Bottle or Boots coming in? He's got Bottle coming in, so he is going to be trying to get that extra bit of regen and spam out some runes as well.
Yeah, and right now, this bottom lane is, I mean, advantage complexity right now. We don't see it very often. I've seen a few teams experiment with this support Queen of Pain, and yeah, it's not the best, but I think considering the circumstances, they're really making it work. And I think it's just the power of early Dagger, the Shadow Strike, that does so much, in conjunction with the fact that Tuskar is just such a strong offlane hero, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's one that you play quite often as well, and it pairs pretty much with anything. Like, you just can't go wrong with the hero.
Yeah, you really can. I mean, it's why he's able to be effectively played as both an offlaner and a support, because it's just amazing how the Snowball can be such an amazing offensive skill and defensive at the same time, right? He's just overall a very versatile hero, and that's what allows him to be able to work in situations like this kind of interesting dual lane that they're running now. Z-Freak sitting on the boundary rune to make sure Swindamelons does get that refill of the bottle. The one lane we haven't actually talked about is the top lane, which is going rather poorly. Well, actually, it's not going that poorly. Every single time I look up here, like, Ziz is being lanced out and forced back, but now that I take a look at the CS, he's actually doing just fine.
Oh yeah, he's doing just fine considering the Winter Wyvern keeps going mid, right, to harass the gyrocopter. So considering the circumstances, like, he's doing fine by himself. He's not really in any danger because Dazzle, fantastic at sustaining fights, right? Like we talked about before, how this meta is just about trying to live longer than the other team, right? The one real big weakness about Dazzle, though, is he has almost no offensive potential. Like, the chance that they kill a Clinkz using those two heroes is incredibly low, unless the Clinkz just decides he's going to sit at like 150 HP their entire time.
Yeah.
And so that really changes things because it means that Ziz isn't afraid of anything. Like, he's like, okay, I can pretty much do whatever I want in this lane, because worst comes to worst, if I get zoned out, I'll still get experience because their kill potential is so low.
Now, that being said, they do have one of the rare combinations which can be decently offensive with a Dazzle. The only way you can really get damage out on a Dazzle usually is through Shadow Wave, and Sylar is probably one of the few carries that can actually allow that to happen by doppelgangering, you know, into a hero, or even just like Spirit Lancing and getting himself and the illusion on top, where if you get that Shadow Wave, it can do a lot, but it's very situational. It's sometimes very hard to get those opportunities to get some extra offensive damage out from a Dazzle. So while the opportunity is there, it's obviously going to be difficult to find. The Shadow Wave is going to be found by Moonmeander, who actually snuck his way into the trees, but MMY is now here to try and help out the lane. A beautiful play from Moonmeander, who actually used the snowball in order to escape, but unfortunately with Yao there sitting on the side, managed to get the Fissure to stop the retreat of Moon.
That Shadow Wave actually dealt so much damage. He was in the middle of so many things. It just wasn't enough for him to survive, but in terms of CS, he's still doing a really good job of keeping up, and he's doing actually better than his Clinkz right now. Like, they're about even, but they're still applying pressure to this bottom lane. Like, that's the main thing, is that combined between the Lina and the Earthshaker, they have 19 CS, which is still 8 behind what Moon has. And it's not even like their carry is doing particularly poorly either. So in terms of CS, they're still doing a really good job of keeping up. And with that first blood, I still think things are somewhat even.
But maybe he saw this one and doesn't look like he's going to be caught out, though. I think he was just trying to bait it a little bit because he does have the Dazzle who was coming in. But this is a very smart idea, utilizing Intusk, especially once he's died, to rotate into one of the other lanes and try and gank it before he heads back to bottom. So naturally, go to middle lane, right? Try and stop, maybe try and shut him down, who's been known, I think, in the kind of same vein as Mushi, maybe. Oh, a little bit of action here. Swindamelons is going to be forced back. Fly comes in from the side to just put a little bit more harassment down onto maybe, but neither side will gain an advantage. But yeah, what I was saying is just I feel like maybe is one of those players. LGD as a whole is like they rely on maybe pretty hard to get an advantage in the early game and to snowball off of that.
Yeah, he's really one of my favorite players right now in Dota. Like his Ember Spirit, his Storm Spirit, it's just fantastic. Like he's who I'm trying to model my Storm Spirit play after, and I just think he's one of those players that have so much star potential on them. And I think you're completely right there, but again, this bottom lane just being zoned out. Even with that kill, they're still being defensive for the most part because they can't really contest this lane. And this Queen of Pain support, like if you get caught out of position at all, she does have enough damage to chase you down and kill you.
Phase Boots now picked up by Maybe, who's trying to stack up, but he's going to be caught here quite heavily. Lays out the call now, tries to pick up the Battle Rune, does grab it, lays out a serious amount of damage to Swindamelons, stops that Flame Guard, which then takes away a large share of the damage. Swindamelons is in some serious trouble, will end up dying, and now with the Shallow Grave, even Ziz is going to be forced away. In fact, he's going to lose this man fight against Maybe. Oh, Z-Freak comes in, upsets that one at the end. Maybe does die, but it's a 2-for-1 trade-off with Complexity, rotating 4 different heroes up to the top rune.
And you just saw right there in a nutshell why Gyrocopter is such a valuable pick. Like, he walks in with 200 HP by himself without even the Dazzle quite there yet, and he still manages to pick up the Ember Spirit, who's at full HP almost instantaneously. Like, he just drops. And then the Clinkz comes in as well. Same exact thing happens. Like, Rocket Barrage as a spell is just so powerful in the early game. There's actually really very few spells that mirror it. Like, remember the old Edict on Leshrac where there was no cast animation and you could just chase people down, dealing like 1,000 damage a second? That's what it reminds me of right now.
Yeah, and it's particularly strong against a hero like Ember Spirit, who, like, all of his damage in this point in time of the game is all around Flame Guard. So when he dropped both coL down as well as Rock Barrage, he output so much magic damage that he actually took away that Flame Guard really quickly, and then they were just completely out of steam. I mean, at that point, what does a Winter Wyvern do if there's no creeps around, and what does an Ember Spirit do if he has no Flame Guard? So a brilliant turnaround there from Maybe with an additional health of his Dazzle. They make a big play, and managed to make a really decent trade-off despite Maybe dying. Now, looks like MMY is going to keep himself busy, but it's bottom lane where Z-Freak almost goes down, but a nice snowball save. Moon actually keeps his ally alive, but now he is definitely going to be run down here as the first lance to slow him down. Swindamons is coming in, though, and LGD, knowing that, are going to play a little bit more passively. They start chasing Moon and will still be able to catch him out, so that kill is guaranteed for LGD. Rest of Complexity, even Ziz making his rotation over as the Clinks just takes one of the creeps. Swindamons grabs an invis, but oh no, he's in some serious trouble, just gets bursted down again. Complexity just caught out. And now the scoreboard 6-2 as LGD start taking some serious control over this game.
Yeah, Complexity had that lead going in after the first blood. Even after the traded kills, they were still okay because in CS, they were doing fine. Because that bottom lane still isn't very successful, but the amount of damage that Maybe is just outputting with this rocket Z-Freak. Beautiful call down with the Fissure on top. Oh,
God, they like want to defend that one, but they just had no setup whatsoever, and LGD pounced on the first sign of weakness there, especially with a call down revealing that tree's great heads-up play from Maybe, who's now going to make sure that Ziz doesn't even get the opportunity to take that middle tier 1 tower, or even bring it a little low. Immediately chases him away, and the rest of LGD take the bottom tower.
Yeah, I think that was just a little bit sloppy by Complexity. As much as of a good play as it was to throw down the call down at the same time as the Fissure, you have to anticipate that, right? Like, you're TPing in, all 5 heroes were showing themselves on the map, and it is daytime, and so that should have been something that they anticipated, but unfortunately, you know, that's just 2 heroes that go down for almost no reason, and those start to add up, because if you just take a look now, Maybe he's got so much farm on him. He's got 64 CS, he's got 2 kills, he's got a full drums completed now, and so you're going to have a hard time killing him as is, and Swindle hasn't had the, you know, he hasn't had enough time to just sit there and farm, because he's reacting to the play around the map, and so it's been rough for him. So whatever fights they have to take right now, they have to be so cautious. Like, they just have to be a little bit more cleaner about their execution.
Ziz is still farming away, but it's going to be a few minutes before our Clinks is ready to come online. So if Ember Spirit is struggling to be able to keep up with some of the other heroes and our Clinks really isn't ready to go, there's not much else for Complexity to run on for the next 5 to 10 minutes. It seems like they're going to have to play more of a pick-off game until the Clinks is a lot more farmed. Now, Maybe has found both the Bounty Rune as well as that haste, but it looks like Complexity almost want to challenge him anyway. They managed to get a chains out from Swindamons, but with Yao sitting behind him, Maybe isn't really that scared.
Yeah, with a haste rune and 10 magic stick charges, there's no way that they're going to approach him. Like, he's just going to be able to haste out, pretty much fight them endlessly. Because Swindle just doesn't have enough farm to contest him right now, and so I think the better play right now is to try to stabilize as much as you can. And it looks like the attempt is going to go on Sylar here at top, where the glyph is going to get popped in. There are enough heroes, and they have to do this. They actually have to get this kill right now.
Doppelganger and moving to the side, but the real Sylar is still caught out, but it seems like they tried to go for the illusions, and Sylar walks away. They thought it was a fake, but they were targeted on the real one. Now Jet White has already taken out the Queen of Pain. Moonmeander is stopped as well. That's going to be almost 3 down as Ziz managed to complete his TP just the last half second. But tower goes down, 2 kills, force the Clinks back, and LGD just keep on marching through that top lane.
That was insane by Sylar. Like, he just sent his illusions all in a different location while sitting there auto-attacking creeps, and the Clinks is hitting him, and he's thinking, okay, he's the only one that hasn't moved yet. Like, he doesn't even react to the fact that I'm hitting. This must be an illusion, but he should have trusted his gut instinct, because the Phantom Lancer illusions at this point aren't strong enough to survive 8 hits by the Clinks, and so I think he just kind of got nervous. He's like, what if this isn't the real one? There's like 4 running away, and it was just a great play by Sylar.
Yeah, Ziz is going to be caught here. Beautiful setup, but not quite enough damage. The Aaron is going to tick on him, but it isn't going to be enough to finish him off, so LGD miss out on that 1 kill. But yeah, just quite the nice play from Sylar. That was a doppelganger illusion, right? The one. Yeah.
They assumed it was a dominator early. Oh, Swindelmount is now going to be hit by the call down, slowed down, and stunned up long enough that he's not able to make a jump away. Moon Meander now dropping quite low as Yao was able to chain stun him up. Zhao Wei is locked in by his allies and will be taken out. Fly, of course, had to sack himself in order to get that kill on the Lina. LGD still pick up 2 and take control of this middle tower.
Yeah, and maybe playing that gyrocopter, he's just doing so much damage right now. Nobody from Complexity can really stand up against the might of the Rocket Barrage, and right now it just seems like it's all LGD. As their early game control has been so strong this game, their movement is 5. This is an objective-based team, and right now they're doing a good job of systematically taking down all the towers while still keeping up the farm. But Z-Freak from the back.
Yeah, he was looking for an opening, you know, just with a better harassment from the Ice Shards or something. Maybe he could burst down a hero, but the problem is the Dazzle was keeping them too sustained. He gave an Urn over to the Earthshaker, was throwing out a couple of Shadow Waves here and there, and the result is everyone was tanky enough to survive through the 1-2 punch of Sonic Wave and Scream.
Yeah, and the scary thing right now for coL is that maybe has been stacking this Ancient Camp by himself without even the help of the supports, and typically that kind of stack is either meant to A, catch you back into the game, or B, you just get so far ahead in Complexity. They're actually going to try to catch him out here, and this is their comeback smoke, is they really need to kill out of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Possible, trade at the worst.
Yeah, Snowball's going to come in. Maybe is instantly blown up. No, the Shalgrave actually came in time. Maybe he's going to be saved here. The Shadow Strike will finish him off eventually, but he's still got enough damage to finish off 2, making a 3rd as Swindelmount goes down as well. Finally, they get the Ice Shards out from Moon Meander. Great play there, but it's still making only a small dent in the gigantic lead that LGD have now cooped themselves.
That was 3 heroes that got traded. And Smoking is the thing. Yeah, you're happy that you killed maybe, but the cost was a little bit too high there. And Complexity, I like the fact that they're still looking for opportunities, but going under the tier 1 like that, it just felt a little bit desperate for me. Like, it was a move that I feel like they're okay with making most of the time, but in a situation where you're down 15-4, you have to be a little bit more safe. Like, trading 1 for 1 there probably isn't bad. Maybe even 2 for 1 isn't terrible, but getting caught that cleanly is just, it's a little bit too much.
Well, Swindelmount's coming in from the side. They still have that haste up on Moon Meander, but again, this is always the problem with Earthshaker. Being run, when you deal with him, whether it's support or off lane, he just has natural stats that allows him to be able to tank through the burst damage. And then you throw a good sustained healer like the Dazzle with the constant Shadow Waves and Urns. Like, the Earthshaker's just never going to be a hero that you can poke at and kill real quickly like you want to.
Yeah, he's actually got so much farm already. He's already got a Blink Dagger. It looks like at top they want to set something up on this, but...
Oh, big whiff there from Yao as he jumps with the Blink to try and catch out Z-Freak and throws out the Echo Slam in a desperate attempt to stop that Blink away, but not in range and not in time still, though the tier 2 tower will fall.
Yeah, they're going for the trade right now in towers, and this is the move Complexity has to make right now. Like, there's actually no way that they can defend this top tier tier 2 tower, because they're not in position A, and B, they just don't have any heroes that can kill the creep wave to stop the push to begin with. And with Yao having such an early Blink Dagger, and Zhao Wei playing the Lina, he's actually got a Yule Scepter and a gem. There's just too many ways to get opened up on them. So what Complexity now have to go for is the split push game where they just try not to get picked off by the gem carrier. Like, you just have to actively feed each other information and hope that you can keep your cores alive long enough so that you can finally start to build up some items.
Counter ward actually blocking out the camp. Does this other ward block out the camp as well? It's pretty close.
Yeah, it is pretty close.
So we'll see what happens here in the next 8 seconds, but either way, that's pretty interesting play. Because as you said, you're just looking like stall time and everything, and that's the one camp that you can almost like guaranteed farm, right? As Complexity, every like minute or so, you should be able to find an opening to farm that camp, and even that is now taken away by LGD's warding.
They've been doing a really good job right now of not letting Complexity get any sort of momentum or pick up any sort of split push going. And LGD, I mean, they're headed to this Roche Crypt, but they don't have a medallion or anything like that. So it's really unlikely that this is anything more than just a warding expedition. And then this top lane, Z-Freak, he's kind of switched gears. Like, he realizes he's the hero with the blink, so he has to get active around the map. Because you don't really care if he dies. As odd as that sounds, it's more just the fact that you're hoping that he does more. But
oh no, Yule Scepter into the Light Strike Array, and finally it happens. Ran into the gem carrier.
But that's the thing, is that Seafreak was trying to get them to go on him instead. It's almost like a sacrificial death, but instead they just scout out their own jungle.
Swindabones having to deal now with a Phantom Lancer who's operating on a diffusal blade. Swindabones is forced to make a TP out. That's how dangerous the Phantom Lancer is. PL is just one gigantic step ahead. Like, our Ember Spirit is operating on items that say, like, early game, like 12, 15 minute, while our Phantom Lancer is farmed enough ahead that I'm looking at like a 20 minute, 20, 25, 30 minute Phantom Lancer with this diffusal blade. Like, that's the mid-game build. It just feels like our PL's one gigantic step ahead of the Ember Spirit, and kind of always will be at this point. Like, if you've already hit your mid-game stride, I feel like that then means that the Phantom Lancer is easily going to start tanking up enough that even once the Ember Spirit does have the Battle Fury, it just won't do a dent in these illusions because they have so many stats.
Yeah, Ember's a decent counter, but it's still a soft counter to the Phantom Lancer, especially if you get behind in farm. But they might actually just catch somebody here as Seafreak. Good job catching that smoke. Is going to blink out, and this might reveal intentions, because I think LGD, this was like a hopeful smoke. It's like, we get a kill or we don't, it doesn't really matter.
They rotate into their own jungle. Good mind there. They know that not only is Swindabones pushing, but it's also the fact that very often Clinks is going to be taking away your jungle, especially since they already warded at least one camp in the enemy jungle. So, clearing through their own jungle, making sure that's secured. Swindabones now going to be running into Zhao A. Light Strike Array does land on the money, and the follow-up stuns are there as well. Meanwhile, Snowball getting laid into Sylar. They desperately need this kill, but the Shallow Grave is already there, and he's got a doppelganger up in 2 seconds, so he is completely fine. Complexity are forced to back as Sylar gets reinforcements.
Yeah, and they use so many ultimates there that I think this is LGD's cue to just head down the mid lane. They know that the Winter's Curse is on cooldown. From the sounds of it, yeah, the Queen of Pain Sonic Wave is used at the same time. And for Complexity, those are your saving graces in team fights. Like, if either of those spells aren't up, like, you need both of them, not just one, for the comeback right now. And so if both of them are down, I think this is going to be LGD's cue to just head down and pretty much do whatever they want.
He's got another one. Yule Scepter, and Ziz is done for. It's not even needing an Echo Slam.
The amount of damage that both of these guys have, and they've been working together all game long. Like, the Yule Scepter with the gem on top of the Earthshaker Slam, there's almost no hero that's going to survive this, and the Clinks is doing the best he can to split, but there's just so much map control lost when you get that early gem, and you have the map control that you have. There's nowhere you can really ward. At that point, you're just playing a guessing game.
MMY, truly the sacrificial player of LGD, is sitting on the bottom of the net worth, but if you exclude him, everyone else is sitting above. Swindabones just gets destroyed there as LGD find yet another opening to jump him again. The opportunities that they find, such as that top lane, they're so far ahead in that situation, they don't need to use Echo Slam, so then they still have it up to find yet another kill. It's just snowballing so heavily against Complexity. They just cannot seem to find any ground to stand on.
And if you're Complexity, you're kind of happy because LGD doesn't have the best Roche lineup, and even their high ground isn't fantastic, but mid, they're just getting picked apart. Kill after kill right now is Fly gets the cold embrace off, and this might actually be an opportunity, but no, there's no backup whatsoever. He's going to go down. MMY, playing the least offensive support there is on a dominating spree.
It's 20-4 right now. 22 minutes in, taking a look net worth-wise, 12,000 gold lead and 10,000 experiences. Is going to go for the back door at the tier 1 tower at top lane. Good pickup. Glyph actually gets laid down for a second there. Swindabones at the bottom lane, though, is in some serious trouble. He's still got the spirit, so he will jump back to it in time. It's incredibly hard to actually land the Light Strike Array in time before he Remnant jumps.
At the same time, his Flame Guard instantly gets evaporated, and maybe picking up a solo kill onto a Queen of Pain, which is a little bit unexpected, but considering he has 441 move speed and the drums active available, he's just able to close the distance so quickly, and they might actually go for the Roshan here. It's still a little bit difficult for their team because I don't think they have a medallion, right? Yeah, they don't, so it would take a little bit of time, so maybe they even just go high ground here with the advantage that they have.
They don't have a good carry for taking out Roshan either, right? Because Phantom Lancer, any illusion hero, isn't going to have a great time with Roshan. Gyrocopter's physical damage is, well, it's about to get big. He's got S and Y now, an Eagle Song, so Butterfly is going to be on the way soon, but it's still not nearly as much as some other carries would offer.
Yeah, he's just trying to build as tanky as he possibly can for these fights, so they don't blow anything right now. And with the amount of counter-initiate that LGD have, they're just doing a good job right now of distributing farm, making absolute sure that one core isn't too far ahead of the other. Like, they're all keeping up in farm. Like, all top 4 net worth, all LGD right now.
Tusk is Complexity's highest farmed hero, sitting at 6,500. Does have the Midas, but
has been murdered.
It's going to take a while for that to pay out, and I'm not sure if Complexity can make the game go long enough that it works out. Yep, they picked him off. Fisher laid into a Blink Echo Slam, and once again, Swindamelons is unable to make the escape.
You're seeing the weakness of Ember 2 against the Phantom Lancer. If you notice, he gets his Flame Spark instantly purged, and then LGD is just on top of him. It's like Yao throws the Fissure from range and then the Echo Slams. It's a kill every single time. And without the Ember Spirit, I think even with the Ember Spirit, it's not even close to the Battle Fury. There's no way they can hold this right now. I think they actually just have to give it up and just allow the Clinkz to try to split push. And he's going for this mid tower right now, but you're still doing it at the cost of the Rax.
Yeah, thanks to the double damage, he will be able to take it, but as you said, the Rax is pretty much forfeit. There's no way that Complexity are going to be able to defend it, it seems. Flying does have the Winter's Curse. Maybe they can try and catch somebody on the way out, especially with Swindamelons here now, but LGD actually just turned and fighting with Maybe. Now operating on that Ampus Rune from his bottom. He's actually going to try and take this fight. They caught Swindamelons, now trying to burst him down. The Cold Embrace is there, but he does not have the Remnant jump away, so he will immediately die as Cold Embrace fades. They pick up another kill, buyback out from Swindamelons as he comes back from the side, but he's going to be locked out again. And tieback now for our carry on Complexity. 4 down, and all we're left with the Tusk, and immediate GG is the call from Complexity. As 27-4, LGD are now 3-0 in the group stage.
And what a dominant performance from them. The laning phase, you know, it could have gone a little bit better, but you can't really fault them for anything past that. Their team play was absolutely phenomenal.